Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. In this video, now we are going to look the detailed comparison of two most underrated bike in the Indian market now. One is the Honda's SP160 and another one is Yamaha's FZ version 4.0. From this detailed comparison, we see all the engine comparison of these two bikes with the braking performance and the engine performance and also the suspension test of these two bikes, guys, and also seating comfort comparison for these two bikes, which is better for a long ride for a rider and even with the pillion. This video must be very useful for you if you are planning to purchase these two bikes. So let me get into the video, guys. Give a like if this video is useful, and new viewers subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon for regular notifications. SP160 from Honda is one of the most underrated 160cc bike in the Indian market now, guys. This bike has two variants. One is single disc variant, and another one is dual disc variant. We added all the price details in the description. The build quality and the engine performance is all over typically same to same from the Honda manufacturer. The next one is Yamaha FZ version 4, which is one of the most underrated even at the 150cc segment in the Indian market now, guys. This bike also has two variants. One is standard and another one is deluxe with all the 7 to 8 color options. Recently Yamaha has given two new color options in this version 4 of this FZ. So we added all the video link in the description, and even with the iCard you can see the related videos of this FZ version 4, guys. So and also we added all the price details in the description, so you can look after this video, guys. By speaking the build quality, Honda SP160 consists a typical Honda's similar build quality, which is better from the FZ. They build under the diamond chassis of FZ version 4 or even with the SP160. But comparing to of these two bikes, SP160 has a good build quality compared to FZ, and the plastic fairings of this FZ is somewhat average only. From the engine details, SP160 consists the same engine of Honda's Unicorn, which produces somewhat 13.4 brake horsepower and with the 14.5 Newton meter of torque, guys. So this basically 162cc with the air cooled engine. So we can expect the somewhat initial pickup and even with the mid-range performance of this SP160, and also we can claim the mileage of 45 to 50 km. So we can just to clarify, the engine refinement and somewhat smoothness is typically from the Honda, which is nice from the Honda manufacturer, guys. This SP160 consists 5-speed of manual gearbox with the good assist of something not a slipper clutch, but clutch presence is okay. The silencer assembly is somewhat lengthy only, but in the engine compartment of FZ version 4, this is one of the most underrated underpowered 150cc in the Indian market, guys, which is basically from the FZ version 3. They derived same 150cc engine with the 12.2 brake horsepower and 13.4 Newton meter of torque. So basically all 125cc in the Indian market now, which meets this type of performance. So the underrated performance of this bike is somewhat not inspired for all the youngsters in the India today, guys. So this bike also has a 5-speed of manual gearbox with a good return of mileage of 48 to 50 km per liter, guys. Some people look for the performance engine, but if you are a beginner rider, you can prefer this bike with the underrated power engine and good mileage return. This bike consists no kicker assembly in this, guys. So family man, so also youngster, both of them can prefer this bike. In the performance test of this SP160, the initial pickup and the mid-range performance of the SP160 with the 162cc air-cooled engine gets superb initial and mid-range performance. Over crossing something 90 to 95 km of speed range and over 8500 rpm, this SP160 consists all the vibrations, guys. So we can expect the mid-range performance of this engine is okay. If you are planning for a long trip 100 to 150 km in a single stretch, you may feel some of the engine strain and somewhat engine heat or warming problem. The top speed of this SP160, some of the users have claimed to 115 to 125 km, but we just claimed the top speed of this SP160 has somewhat 110 kilometer per hour only, guys. The engine performance, smoothness and reliability is typically from the Honda, which is somewhat good, guys. Clutch operations also somewhat decent only. Handlebar position and even with the turning radius and the seating comfort of the rider is also good in the SP160. The weight is around 139 to 142 kg, so it is manageable with the family riders or even with your pillion or in a solo ride, guys. So it's a 2-valve engine, not in the 4-valve engine as compared to TVS Apache 164V. So it's a neat and somewhat mid-range performance engine. Unfortunately, there is no video clipping for FZ performance test and all that. But some of the users have claimed 48 to 50 kilometer mileage with this FZ version 4.0, and with the top speed of 115 kilometer. About crossing 80 to 85 kilometer speed range, this FZ consists all the vibrations in your foot pegs and even with the tank side and the seat assembly, guys. So you can expect the somewhat normal and the mid-range performance bike, which is somewhat laggy and slower compared to SP160, guys. As speaking the performance test of this SP160, even with the rider consist kicker assembly for a day-to-day life, or even with the family man can consist all these kicker assembly for a good something trustable engine. This fuel tank is capable of 12 liter and it will accept E20 fuel in future, guys. This fuel tank I think covered with the somewhat plastic fairings, which is looking somewhat muscular in the section. The handlebar position is somewhat okay only. I think they given a handlebar riser, which is some looks upper handlebar position compared to FZ version 4.0, and even with this fuel economy, you can considerably attain 45 to 50 kilometer of mileage, guys. So the handlebar position is somewhat okay in the SP160, guys. Now speaking with the seat comfort and handling, the seat height is somewhat 796 mm, and with the grab rail and all single seat assembly Honda provided for the rider and pillion, guys. But the seat cushioning is somewhat I think average only, a little bit stiffer in the seat position, but for the seat cushioning I think stiffer, but the seat position and the tank aside somewhat good for a rider who prefer 100 to 150 km of a single stretch for a long ride, I think. And the next one is FZ version 4.0 has a somewhat little bit bigger fuel tank of 13 liter capacity, and it will also accept E20 fuel in future, guys. But the handlebar portion is somewhat lower as compared to SP160. The muscular tank is somewhat okay, guys, but the design language of tank assembly of FZ version 4 and even the headlight design is somewhat I think subjective only, guys. The given seat height of 790 mm, which is also good for a family, I think short rider or even with the family rider. They given a broader single seat assembly with the typical FZ version 3's rear handle grab rail handle, which is also good. The seat cushioning is better as compared to SP160, guys. So if you are a rider who prefer a comfort ride with the short ride, you can prefer FZ version 4.0. But the seat color of FZ version 3 and 4 have somewhat I think different in this present situation. And also FZ version 4 weight is somewhat 135 only, so you can manageable as compared to SP160, guys. In the braking and the suspension test of comparison, Honda SP160 has a front single channel ABS. You are looking at the somewhat gravel roads, guys. I am applying my rear brake suddenly with the 30 km of speed range. The rear wheel is somewhat skiddy, and even the rear wheel is locking problem is there, guys. So there will be no dual channel ABS or no traction control system or no RLP system in this SP160. So you can, if you are a family rider or a beginner rider, if you are applying your rear brake or in your applying your front brake suddenly, you can feel the wheel locking problem in this SP160, guys. Now look at the muddy road conditions. I am applying my front brake suddenly. Even with the single channel ABS, it has consist a wheel locking problem. In the tackable of I think speed breakers, they given a something 792 mm of seat height, and with the 172 mm of ground clearance, it is okay and manageable for a day-to-day life and daily rider. They given a front dual channel, I mean single channel ABS with the 276 mm of front disc brakes and rear 220 mm of rear disc brakes, guys. There is no dual channel ABS, and the front suspension is somewhat travel is okay, but the performance of this front suspension is not as much as compared to FZ version 4.0. I think from the suspension department, Honda must be better in the SP160, which must be front or rear, both are be somewhat stiffer in the suspension setup, guys. And they given a smaller section tires of the front 100 and rear 110 130 section. So basically FZ version 4 is a little bit better as compared to SP160. So now we are looking at the 130 70 by 17 inch wheel system, which is basically lesser wheelbase compared to FZ version 4.0, which consists of better with the somewhat traction control system inbuilt given, guys. FZ version 4's front fork is 39 mm or to 41 mm broader front suspension, which is their action is somewhat better compared to SP160. They given a front single channel ABS with the 282 mm of front disc size, and with the rear 220 mm of disc brake size, guys. They given an electrical system from the MT derived from the MT the traction control system inbuilt to FZ version 4.0. So it will be good for a beginner rider who is preferring for a muddy road areas or even with the wet conditions ride, guys. So this rear wheel consists 140 section with the good wheelbase as compared to SP160, which is better for the beginner rider with the family and even with the family rider, guys. So in the riding confidence, you can feel somewhat better in this FZ version 4.0 compared to I think SP160. And the suspension setup from the front of the FZ is okay, but the rear suspension is not as much as good, so little bit stiffer with the similar of SP160 rear suspension consist. But the engine performance is good in SP160 compared to FZ version 4.0. From the meter assembly, SP160 consists fully digital meter with the good lighting conditions of negative shades, and the readouts are okay, basics only. They given a gear position indicator with the RPM indicators also, the lighting setups, and the readouts like odometer, speedometer, tachometer with the average and the time, and even with the integrated trip readouts is also okay, guys. We can just adjust your brightness in the SP160 with the 5 level of brightness, but there are no connectivity features or Bluetooth options, or even with the there is no navigation system in SP160 meter assembly. Only basic readouts. Who may prefer for a normal day-to-day ride, you can prefer for. And they given 2 trip meters, and with the integrated individual trip meters readouts of total kilometer per hour and total kilometer per liter, and with the liter who consumed in the trip 1 or even trip 2. This readout is okay, in which is new in this 162cc segment. I think TVS on Apache 164V consists better meter assembly as compared to SP160 and even FZ version 4, guys. And now looking at this Yamaha MT version 2's meter assembly. Unfortunately, by the time we visited Yamaha showrooms, there are no battery connected in the version 4 of FZ. So basically the similar MT's meter assembly is derived from the FZ version 4 with the all Yamaha Y app connectivity. So yes, you can connect your Bluetooth mobile or even with the other some connectivity features Yamaha FZ version 4 consists. The readouts is similar to FZ version 4 or even R15 with the MT15 consist. There are only change in this meter assemblies. There is no gear position indicator for FZ version 4, but you can now turn on or turn off or enable or disable your traction control system for user convenience. We just suggest for your beginner rider with ride your bike with traction control in enable position. So these are all the meter assembly comparison, guys. The connectivity feature is better as compared to SP160 in the FZ. From the lighting setup, SP160 has a normal power output of LED setups. They given a rear LED setup, but there are halogen winkers only in the SP160 segment. By speaking the lighting assembly and lighting performance, FZ version 4 is a clear winner, but the front headlight design of FZ version 4 is subjective, but the power output of FZ is better as compared to SP160, but not the segment best headlight setup. But the power output you can cruise your in the urban or rural areas with the SP160. And the tail section, they taken the empty tail light from to FZ version 4.0. So the lighting setup, the clear winner is FZ version 4.0, guys. So now we are in the conclusion. If you are a family rider or a beginner rider or even a youngster, you want a good performance engine with a mileage return of 45 to 50 km per liter. With the good build quality and basic designs, you can prefer your SP160 for a and even with this SP160 consists good maintenance cost and even with the service network. But if you are a beginner rider or even a family man who needs some other extra features and the better lighting or even with the better seat comfort options, you can prefer your FZ version 4.0. But if you are looking at the somewhat mileage and performance, you may go to SP160, guys. So these are all the points we just want to clarify in this detailed comparison of SP160 and FZ version 4.0, guys. So this video may be useful for you. Share this video to your friends also, guys. Thank you.